Hello, chess friends. Let's learn how to win in just 2 moves in chess. Winning at chess doesn't always mean attacking the other king immediately. Sometimes, a clever placement of your knight or queen is all it takes to set up a checkmate on the next move. Let's check out with the knight first. If we move it, we end up with no winner. That's a stalemate. We don't want that. What about the queen? Placing it here might not be the best option, as the other king could run to a8, and it could be tough to win. Maybe queen e8 instead, which leave the king with 3 choices, but none let us win right after. Let me give you a little hint. The best move for the queen here is to get very close to this king. You might have guessed the right moves already, however, the best move here is queen to ca. Now the other king has only 2 squares. If he goes here, it's checkmate, and if he tries to hide in the corner, our knight can surprise him and win the game. In this endgame, black has 2 extra pawns, but it's white's turn. They have a move that could ruin black's plans. Can you guess what it is? Take a moment to think about it. Queens are powerful and often lead to checkmates in the endgame. Now, are you ready for the answer? Pawn to c4 is the strongest move here, leading to checkmate no matter how black responds. King takes, queen c3, checkmate. If queen takes pawn, queen to d6, checkmate. What about pawn takes pawn? Queen to b6, checkmate. Here, black might try something else, like moving the queen, but then white has another great move. Queen to a5, check. If the queen is captured, the pawn takes its place, and the king can't move. If the pawn captures, we have f6 ready to go. King comes here. I push forward, and it's an easy win. In chess, winning when you're already ahead is the hardest part. White plays queen f5. Here, Grandmaster Reshevsky, playing black, is up by 3 pawns. He might be wondering, why won't white give up? Why keep playing? Thinking like this can lead to mistakes. Reshevsky thinks about moving his pawn forward, hoping white queen will take it. So he can check the king in the next, and when the king moves to g3, they move to trade queens, and then just walk his king over to a5 to take the last pawn. But things don't always go as planned. Reshevsky plays g4 quickly, expecting white to take the pawn, but then disaster strikes with queen f2. White offers the queen, pinning the pawn to the king because capturing the queen leads to a stalemate and a draw. White seems to be in trouble with their pieces trapped in a corner and the king surrounded by enemies. But what if I told you that white can win by force, checkmating in 12 moves? It starts with a rook sacrifice. After the queen takes the rook, remember a pattern called the staircase. Queen takes pawn, check. The king only has 2 squares, check. The king goes back, check. This is why it's called a staircase. Check, 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 and finally, queen to b3. After the king moves to a1, queen takes bishop, and black's game is over. Can you believe black is about to win, but not in the way you might think? You're probably thinking, my king can stop this pawn easily, and when it's protected, I'll make a queen. But making a queen here is a mistake. Instead, I sacrifice the pawn, you capture it. Now I check, and when your king moves, I make a queen again. You see, you have to capture it, and it's a stalemate. But wait, I told you black can win. Move the pawn to promotion and get a rook. It's a bold move, but the key is knowing where to place the rook. If he moves his king, just wait. He plays a move, you wait. King to g6. And bring your king over, forcing him to a bad spot. Take the pawn, and the win is clear. An endgame with a queen against a queen and knight usually ends in a draw, but not this time. Black is about to make a queen, but there's a way to try and stop it by moving the knight. If black makes a queen now, he loses to a clever move. So he moves his king, and you can't stop the pawn from becoming a queen. But that's okay. You make a queen too, and when he makes a queen, you check. Suddenly, black is in trouble because it's hard to find a safe place for the king. If he moves here, you win the queen with a smart move. If he goes down, you win the game with another smart move. The only safe spot is c3. Now, you check again, getting closer. He thinks he can escape, but you check again. Now the king only has 2 bad options. One loses the queen, and the other leads to a beautiful checkmate. White can win this position. The first move we think of is to check while moving our king closer, but that's a mistake because Black's king protects the queen. After a few checks, Black's queen gets away and it's just a draw. But I told you White can win. How? By making sure the queen has no place to go on the 8th rank. The only move that does this is King B7. After some checks, the winning move is Queen F7. Now you see why we moved our king there first? The queen has nowhere to go, just one spot. But now, how does White checkmate on the next move? How do you stop this pawn from becoming a queen on the next move? It seems impossible, but you won't believe how White is losing this game. Start with a check. The king moves, and we'll still have the same problem. He's about to make a queen. Here's a smart idea. Rook check, making the king go to a certain file. Now check here. You might want to capture the pawn and stop him from making a queen, but that's a stalemate already, and it's a draw. But I said White is losing. Don't just take the pawn. We have a brilliant move. Sacrifice the bishop. If the king captures, you can take the pawn, and there's no stalemate. But you might think Black could make a queen instead. Think so? Bishop to g4, and nothing can stop checkmate on the next move. This is odd, but two famous chess grandmasters made a mistake with White in this position. The first moved his king, Black took the pawn, and then the king went to f7. The grandmaster thought he had time to take another pawn, but was shocked after a certain move because nothing could stop a queen checkmate on the next move. But wait, another grandmaster in the exact same spot decided to push the pawn. When Black moved his king, he also made a mistake by taking the pawn. Forget about taking the pawn back. Sacrifice your queen instead. If he captures, it's a stalemate, a draw. But there's a way for White to win. Push the pawn, and when the king moves, push again. Black might sacrifice the queen, or push g5 instead. When he captures, promote to a knight, forking the king and queen. You get your queen back, and please don't tell me you don't know how to win with just a pizza.